5 invincible wounds narcissistic abuse leaves behind. Narcissistic abuse doesn't always leave visible scars, and that's what makes it so dangerous. From the outside, life may look normal, but inside something feels shattered, confused, and painfully unresolved. If you've ever walked away from a narcissistic relationship, whether romantic, familial, or even professional, you might have noticed that the pain lingers in strange, invisible ways. And the hardest part, many survivors don't even realize what they're carrying. Today we're talking about 5 invincible wounds narcissistic abuse leaves behind. The deep psychological injuries that don't simply disappear when the relationship ends, and understanding them may finally help you see that nothing was ever wrong with you. The first wound is the loss of self-trust. Narcissistic relationships slowly train you to doubt your own reality. Your feelings get dismissed, your memories questioned, and your reactions labeled as too sensitive or dramatic. Over time, you stop trusting your instincts. You start asking yourself, am I overreacting? Even when something clearly hurts. After the relationship ends, this confusion doesn't magically vanish. Survivors often struggle to make decisions, second-guess their emotions, and rely heavily on others for validation. The person may be gone, but the internal voice of doubt remains, whispering that your perception can't be trusted. Rebuilding self-trust becomes one of the longest healing journeys. The second wound is chronic guilt and self-blame. Narcissists are experts at shifting responsibility. Somehow, every argument, every misunderstanding, every emotional reaction became your fault. You tried harder, apologized more, and carried the emotional burden for both people. Even after leaving, many survivors feel guilty for things they never did wrong. They replay conversations, wondering what they could have done better, believing they somehow caused the abuse. This guilt becomes a heavy emotional shadow, making it difficult to move forward or set boundaries in new relationships because you fear being seen as the problem again. The third invisible wound is emotional numbness. At some point in narcissistic abuse, survival mode kicks in. You stop reacting because reacting led to punishment or conflict. You stop expressing needs because they were ignored or mocked. So your emotions shut down to protect you, but when the relationship ends, that numbness often stays. Survivors frequently say they feel disconnected, not only from others, but from themselves. Joy feels muted, excitement feels distant, even love can feel confusing. It's not that you don't care anymore, it's that your nervous system learned that feeling deeply was unsafe. Healing means slowly allowing emotions to return without fear. The fourth wound is the fear of being replaceable. Narcissists often discard partners quickly or keep backup options, making you feel like you were easily replaceable. One moment you felt special, and the next, it seemed like you never mattered. This leaves a deep insecurity long after the relationship ends. Survivors often fear abandonment, constantly worrying new partners will leave or find someone better. They may overcompensate, people-please, or accept poor treatment just to avoid being abandoned again. The narcissist may have moved on quickly, but the fear of being disposable remains deeply embedded. And the fifth wound, the most painful of all, is the loss of identity. Narcissistic relationships slowly erase who you are. Your preferences, friendships, hobbies, and even personality traits may have been criticized or controlled. You adapted to keep peace, shrinking parts of yourself to avoid conflict. Over time, you stopped recognizing the person in the mirror. After leaving, many survivors feel lost. They ask, who am I without this relationship? It feels like starting life over, rediscovering likes, boundaries, and personal values from scratch. Healing often involves rebuilding identity piece by piece, remembering who you were before the manipulation began. But here's the part most people don't talk about. These wounds, painful as they are, don't mean you're broken. They mean you survived something psychologically exhausting, and survival changes people. The key is understanding that healing isn't about going back to who you were before. It's about becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who recognizes red flags sooner and protects their peace more fiercely. The scars narcissistic abuse leaves behind can eventually become signs of resilience instead of weakness. If you see yourself in these wounds, know this. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. Some days you'll feel strong, other days you'll wonder why it still hurts. But every moment you choose self-respect over self-doubt, Every time you honor your feelings instead of silencing them, you are healing, even when progress feels invisible. And one day, you'll realize something powerful. The person who once made you question your worth no longer has that power. Their voice fades, and yours finally becomes louder. So if you're on this journey right now, struggling with confusion, guilt, numbness, fear, or identity loss, understand this. You're not weak. You're recovering from emotional warfare, and healing means learning to choose yourself again, slowly, patiently, compassionately. Because the truth is, narcissistic abuse may leave deep wounds, but it doesn't get to decide how your story ends. And sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who quietly rebuild themselves after being broken in silence.